There's been a time that an artist has gone out into their car because they were throwing a fit about a question that they got asked before they came to mine, and they wouldn't come in and do the interview. There's been some diva moments.
Oh yeah, that's
like
ridiculous.
crybaby, kind of situation. Yeah.
Elaina Smith,
Yes.
Thank you so much for being on What's Mine Is Yours.
No, thank you for having me.
And I will say, I've interviewed people who are like in radio, but never someone, I don't think someone who like does like a podcast or like does shows. So this is cool to sit down with somebody who
does this. Yeah.
Because it's different, because most people obviously don't. And
Yeah.
so when you're talking to someone, I'm sure you know too, it's a very different scenario being on the other side of the mic, because I'm used to being interviewed a lot of the time when I was an artist. And so now doing this, but I'm very excited to have you here.
I am too, and for what it's worth, it's weird for me to be on this side of things because I'm always doing the interviewing. So this is fun and
very true
new and different.
So backstage country.
Yes.
You also red carpets. You host awards. You've now hosted at the Opry. I mean, you've done so much stuff. And I would think when people think of what you do and you getting to sit down with a bunch of A-listers and big names in country, you'd think it's just like all like the most glamorous thing in the world. But what is it like when the mic is off? What is Elaina's life like?
Very quiet, very soft, very opposite of what all of that part of my life is. I think that I have to have it that way to like balance everything out.
Sure.
And I'm not very flashy or very big outside of it. I kind of just reserve it all for that part of my life.
Interesting. Okay, so would you say you are more of a shy person?
Oh gosh, yeah.
Really?
I always have said that I'm an introverted extrovert because very much I can be an extrovert, and when it's time to turn on, I can be that way and everything. But when I am just by myself or out and about, I am super reserved, super shy. And yeah, I think people are usually pretty surprised to learn that. But at the same time, I feel like so many of us are like that.
I was about to say, aren't a lot of artists like that? Comedians are like that. A bunch of people are like that. So I guess it's like your persona that you get to step into for a few moments out of the time.
And it definitely feels like that. And it's also, like a little bit draining too, because you're using so much energy all the time when you're doing everything like that. So I think I put it all out there when it's time. And then when it's not, I'm like, I'm just here and little, and I'm 4'11", so I don't take up much space. So,
well, I was going to say, when you are out places and say like maybe at work events or things that are happening, do people expect you to be the big personality all of the time?
I think so, kind of. Like, depending on the context in which, like, I'm at, wherever I'm at. I think at work events, I do end up ultimately being that person anyway, because that's how everybody knows me in that world. But, like, if I'm with family and stuff, they don't really expect much from me.
Okay. What got you in to journalism in that way?
Well, I actually always wanted to be behind the camera and behind the scenes.
Okay.
So I started, and my ultimate goal was to work at an Entertainment Tonight or something a daily entertainment show. I've always loved pop culture, but I wanted to produce. And so I worked so hard to get my dream internship, which was at Entertainment Tonight and The Insider. And doing that, I was just behind the scenes. I was working with the executive producer at the time, exclusively, learned so much, but also realized in that time that ooh, you really have to be a different kind of fake to make it here. There's not, I don't feel as though I'm fake, even though, when I put my persona on, it's not fake, it's real,
totally.
But it's definitely different than my everyday. However, being a producer in that kind of world, you have got to have some fakeness or quite a bit of fakeness in you to make it.
Sure.
And I'm not saying everybody's like that. It was just my experience. And I was like, I've been working so hard to do this, and I'm not sure that this is for me.
Sure.
And then ultimately I ended up just falling into being behind the mic on the radio because of jobs that I was working to try to pay for college and pay for the gas to get from San Diego to LA to do that internship.
Well, that's a lot of driving.
That's a lot of driving. I mean, even 10 p.m. in LA, you're still in traffic. So I was back and forth 3 to 4 times a week, and it was I don't know. I wouldn't be able to do it today. I can tell you that much. That was very much reserved for early 20s.
Yeah. Did you like being on the radio? Was that fun for you?
It was, and it was something that I never thought I would do. I actually the reason why I got into radio was because I took a job that basically said I just needed something that was super flexible because of what I was doing at the time, the back and forth in school and everything. And I found a job listing at our school for like super flexible hours for your student schedule. You can even just do weekends. Like, we'll work with you. We'll do whatever. And I called them up, and it turned out to be a radio promotions gig. And so they were like, we'll work around your schedule. Like, we have so many events every weekend. It's in San Diego. So there's, stuff at the beach, stuff in the mall, stuff everywhere. And they're like, we'll work around yours. Like, just work when you can. And so I was like, that's perfect. That's literally what I need. And I took it. And at the time, it was a Jack FM station. I don't know if you're familiar with the format, but it's no DJs.
Okay.
And so it's just like all music. We have one here in Nashville. But at that time, they ended up having the only Jack station that brought on a morning show, and the woman on the morning show, she couldn't join because of a contractual thing, and they just were like trying out a bunch of different people, asked me to come and try it to see if I like it because I was young, and they're like, try everything you can, and I fell in love, and then I never really looked back after doing that.
What brought you here?
After being on the radio for about 2 years in San Diego, I graduated college and then needed a big girl job. I didn't want to be like the little sister of San Diego forever. So I moved out to Florida, got this job in Florida for a morning show because I was like, I want to do mornings. I want my name on the show. Like, that's what that was like at the time, all I could, hone in on. And so I ended up getting one in Melbourne, Florida, which is the Space Coast. It's like right by, close to Disney. I know we're both Disney girls, so yeah, very close to there, but on the coast. And they took me in. I worked there for a year. That's where I joined Cumulus, and then Cumulus brought me out here to Nashville. So I was in Florida for a year, and then I've been in Nashville ever since.
And do you like it here?
I do. I mean, this feels like home now, for sure. It's still weird to me that like my dog has never been to California. I'm like, oh my God, you're a Southern lady? Like, that's so weird. But yeah, I mean, I've built a life here. I have her. I've had her since the first year that I moved here. I was volunteering at the at Nashville Humane Society and fell in love with her. And then I met my husband. He was actually the first person I met here, but then we didn't date until 5 years later. And
timing.
It's just, it's all about timing. And so this is where my life is. And it's weird to me that this is where my life is. Like, if I sit down and think about it, I'm like, oh my God, I've been here for so long. Like, I've almost been here as long as, I was in California. Yeah, it's wild.
What would you say, now jumping into what you do now, what fans don't see, what would you say is the most unglamorous part of what you do, even though you're sitting down with A-listers?
Prep. I think that is so unglamorous because I basically am stalking these people. Like,
you know what? Yeah.
Yes. And it's like, it can feel creepy at times because I go like super deep. Because, especially the superstars, they've been interviewed 10 million times. Most people have heard every story. And so like, I want to see as many of those interviews as I can. I want to know what's already been done. I want to make sure that I can really peek behind a different curtain that hasn't been peek behind yet. And so, that means deep diving and, like knowing everything about the person. And then they'll like bring up something and I'll be like, oh, really? And like, I know that was, it's June 3rd, 2023. Like, that I think is so, it's so like funny to me that I basically stalk them.
But you know what? I totally understand what you're saying now that I've sat in this seat, and because like the prep is the most important part, but it is, you're right, the most tedious part.
Yes.
And I've always said to myself, I wanted to make sure that the interview is something you couldn't have just Googled.
Exactly.
Like something you're going to be getting new. And whether like you get it or not, that's always the goal at least.
Yes.
Because I know, especially when you're dealing with artists, I deal with everybody in the music industry who wears a different hat. So I think it's a little less than like what you're having to do when someone is either like media prepped, they already have pre-answers of how they want to answer something.
The PR answers, they'll hit you. Yeah.
And you got to find like a little, well, you know when to back off too. Yeah. That's another thing. It's about reading the room. And so that's completely understandable. What would you say, or who, or an event was the first moment you realized like, wow, I'm actually doing this? Was it a specific interview or was it an event that you were hosting?
I would say there's two.
Okay.
I'll start with event, and that was CMA Fest of I believe it was 14 this year that I did this, but I hosted on the Nissan Stadium stage.
Oh, wow. Yeah.
And all night long. So it was, I was like a part of it that whole night. And to be that, that's like the Super Bowl of country music. I mean, everybody comes from all around the world to witness, especially those Nissan stage nights. And getting to do that and meet so many people, from all around the country that had been listening to me at that point for like about a year, maybe some change. That was a moment that I was like, whoa, this is really happening. This is real, and I can like actually make a career out of this. So as far as like fans and the moment, that's definitely it. But other like interview wise, it's Dolly Parton.
Oh, you've been able to interview Dolly Parton.
Yeah, I've done that now, I think 4 times.
4 times.
Yeah. And I even hosted a little thing with her a few years back when the wildfires happened in the Smokies. And she did a telethon, and I did an hour of it with her. And just being in her presence and knowing everything that she means to country music in the world, and to know that I have that moment with her, that really makes me realize like, oh yeah, again, this is real. This is heavy.
Because I will say, I'm pretty sure that must be a lot of people in your position and what you do. That is kind of the beaming light of the person that you want to be able to sit down and talk to or interview. So
I mean, she's pop culture. She's everything. She's America's sweetheart. Like, yeah, I think even outside of country music, she's a lot of people's, epitome of like of a superstar.
For sure.
So yeah, that's special.
What was the most surprising thing that she's told you?
I shared this like very, very few times, but this was so surprising and yet not at the same time. But, she's very well aware that she is Dolly Parton, and that can be very intimidating, for somebody walking in the room. But, usually everybody in country music, they're so tall. Dolly is mini like me. So it was like so exciting to me. I go up to her. The first thing that comes out of my mouth is, Dolly, you're the first person I haven't had to use an Apple box for. And then she's like, oh, honey, I always have my Apple box. And she goes, Apple box. And that was my first interaction with Dolly Parton.
That was your first interaction?
First interaction. I was like, okay, this is going to be cool. This will be fun. Like, she is just, to say surprised would be an understatement, but I loved it.
That's a good, surprise, too.
Yes.
Versus we all know when you meet people that you're excited to meet and then you leave a little bit more disappointed, but that's a good one.
It's incredible.
That's a good one.
I could not have asked for a better first moment with her.
Okay, now speaking of a lot of your first highs, was there ever a moment that you've wanted to walk away from this industry?
Yeah, I would say a lot of moments. I mean, I'm only human, and I mean, it's a tough industry no matter what. And there are constantly people that would do anything to take the spot that you're in. And, that I think that I turned that really low part of my life into a high, because that's what made me start my podcast, my first podcast, Women Want to Hear Women, because I just felt like so many people were trying to take the space that I had. And I'm like, I kind of created this space, and you can too. And we can all create our own spaces, and we don't have to just strive for something that's already existing or somebody that's there and being cutthroat and thinking that that's a good thing to do. Like, just supporting, lifting each other up. Like that lowness of finding out what was happening like behind the scenes and people trying to clamor for it is what really inspired creating a new space. And so that's what I like to always say, create your space, because there's room for it.
There's total room for it. And I also say, like, you can water someone else's flowers at the same time as your own, and you can both bloom.
Yes.
And I totally get what now this is what's pissed me off in this industry. And there's a lot of other women that support women, but then there's a lot of times where you see that flag that's being waved online acting as if they do. And then you get behind the scenes of it all and you go, oh, it's not actually like that sometimes. Yeah. And I was not raised that way. I'm sure it doesn't sound like you were either. I would rather take the road less traveled if it meant I get to a ladder in a way where I didn't have to step on somebody else to get there.
Yes, exactly.
And so I find in a lot of scenarios in this industry, whatever part you're in, behind the camera, in front of the camera, does not matter. People are under the assumption there's only so many spots. And so that the only way you can get there is to hurt someone in the process.
Exactly.
And it's just like, Absolutely not.
Mm-hmm.
You know, my mom would kill me, so I know
Oh,
that.
same. Yeah.
Would murder me. What would you say from what you do and what your perspective is? What's the biggest misconception of being country music media?
That all we care about is country music.
Okay.
I think
Sure.
that's been something that's been big throughout my career is I'm like, our country music audience is more than just country music when it comes to being on an entertainer on the radio.
Yeah.
It's like they care about other stuff. They care about pop culture. They care about politics. They care about, everything. And recognizing that and getting rid of those stereotypes. And, they love different kinds of music as well. It's not just the one track thing.
Point.
Yeah. I've always loved tapping into that and trying to really round out what the country music fan is and not just pinpointing them to just country.
Well, and now speaking of like country music as a whole, it is such a melting pot.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
The genre is so not just very far from.
No, and everyone wants to be a part of it too. Like
I would say now, I mean, I don't have like the analytics on this, but I would say it feels like the most popular genre in music right now.
I would agree.
At least in America.
And I feel like I watched it happen too. So like I very much agree with that statement. And it's on another level now than when I first joined the genre.
Big time.
Yeah.
Because what year would you say you first joined?
2013.
2013. Okay, yeah, it's been a while.
Yeah. And I worked in pop music beforehand. And so like that's what I was experiencing the most of. And when I got the call for country, I was a country fan, but I had never been like, immersed in the world. I'm a late bloomer when it comes to being a country music fan. I really wasn't introduced to it until like a lot outside of Shania's and Dolly's and stuff like that. But until college when I had a roommate who was a huge country fan and I fell in love with it. But I thought like, oh, I've only ever been in the pop culture world. There's no way I'm ever going to join country. Like I don't know enough. And I got a call that said, hey, we're noticing this genre is moving in like a more pop forward direction and we need somebody that can understand both worlds. And so that's how I ended up in country.
Telling you timing is everything.
Yep.
Okay, because you kind of have your own, not that it's not authentic to you, but your own persona when you're on the camera and doing these kinds of things on the carpet versus in your real life. Would you say that being in this industry has helped shape that personality, or would you say you shaped that before you got into it?
I think everything that I've done has shaped both personalities.
Okay.
Like, I think the person that I was when I first moved here, I don't know her. Like, who is she? I don't even know if we'd have, a good conversation back and forth, truly, because like such a different girl. And so I think everything that I have done has shaped who I am. Everybody that I've come across, every experience that I've had, I think has shaped both of the kind of personas that I live with.
Yeah. Okay. And now getting to your interview style, because I know this is going to be different for every person who is on the side of the microphone that's asking the questions.
Yeah.
How would you say you gain the trust of artists in which that are so heavily guarded when they get on camera?
I think about that often because it's been over a decade now that I've been around. And I think that especially with the superstars of today, the thing that I've been lucky with is I've gotten to know them when they were, no. And I was a huge fan and still am, but like a huge fan in my early 20s when I could really just go do anything. And I would go out and I would go to like the smaller shows and I would go support and, have supported a lot of them when they had a crowd of 10, So I think that it's years of putting in the actual love and care for these artists and then getting the opportunities to spend some time with them in different situations that is not like sitting like this,
Sure.
like actually, I mean, how many people have I gone to Losers, Winners, Doghouse, rest in peace, but like how—
Is it gone?
It's gone. Yeah.
Whoa, that's how often
it's
I'm
somewhere,
not.
It's somewhere else, I think now, but it's not on Demonbreun anymore, which was the, OG,
it was.
the Tin Roof Nights, everything, all of those. I think it's really putting in the work. And like some people might call that networking. I call it more supporting. There's a very different side of me that I feel like is the networker versus the, really just wanting to know you as a human. And especially when you are an artist, like that's what you're trying to do. You're trying to get to know people and let them get to know you. So,
Right.
you're already kind of open to those conversations. So I think that's what it is, but it's years and years of that.
Well, and I think, like I always say before anyone sits down, I'm like, this show is not designed, or I mean, and I think this is also garners trust with people, is that this isn't trying to be like a gotcha moment, right?
Yeah.
And if people know that, but at the same time, you also have a job to do, right? And that's a fine line to walk.
Yep.
How do you walk that line?
There's a lot of arguments, honestly. Like, sometimes because the artist will give me stuff, and then management and all of the other, the parties that are involved. And I understand it, because everybody, it's not just about that one person. It's about, everybody at the label and everybody at management and the families that they support. And, so it's a lot of back and forths when it comes to, hey, we can't go down that road, or we can't, because if it was just me and the artist, yeah, we would just do it. And a lot of times we do, but then you get the pushback and everything.
Okay, ratio wise, because I'm interested in this, because you interview like bigger names. How often versus not do you get a list of, we're not touching that, or they don't say anything, and you come in and kind of like wheels are off, and you either read the room well, or you go, oh, okay, and you back off?
I would say it's 90% nothing ahead of time.
Oh, I love that, though.
But that 10% is strong, though. Like that 10%, when they come in with like hey, we're not talking about this. And then it's another back and forth thing, because it's like, yo, I heard them talk something about this on a podcast that you can't just like not follow up with it. Like, I'm not doing my job if I'm not, so it's a lot of conversations and everything, but I would say like a 10%. So it is nice. It's mostly they're trusting, and maybe a few things on the back end that they say, but no, it's definitely different from pop, because it is not that way in pop.
Well, that's what I was just about to say. I feel like that's more like, yeah, we're not talking about any of that. Like, talk about their new music, and that's about it.
And it's like, and those artists, even when I do all genre red carpets and stuff, like their PR people will come up to you and be like, no this, like before they even show up. So it's just a different world.
Very
for
different
sure.
world.
Yeah.
I always say that country music feels a little bit more like you're talking to your friend. It's
Absolutely.
human to human interaction. I feel like they're even better. I feel like, in my opinion, they're better with their fans online.
Yeah,
it
I do
just
too.
feels like you already know them. Versus, you're right, in the pop world, it just doesn't feel like that. It feels like they are light years away from you.
Yeah.
And you just can't get anywhere near anything personal.
They're much more protective, for sure. Like, and that's one time I alluded it to this. I feel like country artists are more like a dog, and pop artists are more like a cat when it comes to interviewing.
Okay.
Just like aloof and kind of like, okay, not like not like they're mean. They're just like they're cats, and they've done it all, and they're not really as interested in you as like the dog who wants to sit on your lap and like talk about everything.
Okay, so other than obviously like a little bit of the surprise you got when you met Dolly for the first time, who would you say is the artist that has surprised you the most in a good way? Off the mic.
There's been quite, recently Jackson Dean. Okay. This is a random one, but like it really stands out to me because he seemed so like I've known him for a few years now, and I think his artistry is just like so delicious and layered, but he ended up being so funny with me, and I just did not expect that because of how like guarded and quiet he is and everything.
Okay.
And I love when artists do that, when they surprise me, and he's probably the most recent to do that. But like, yeah, there's just so much personality behind him, and I loved finding it and discovering it.
Yeah, I mean, that makes it all your job way better too. Yeah. I mean, in general, I think that when you have people who sit down and that it's like this, like a hot dog, you're like, okay, there's only so much you can do to kind of pull something out of somebody. So it's nice when you can have a fluid conversation with someone that you're like, oh, I wasn't expecting it to be, because I will like look up people before I interview them and how they talk back too, and I'll be like, oh, that's going to be a harder one, like I'm going to have a lot more follow-up going on just to get them to like loosen up. And then sometimes when someone sits down and it's such a good reaction of being like, okay, this is going to be nice. This is going to be really, really good. So, okay. Have you ever asked a question early on or even as of recent where you've thought, oh no, I shouldn't have asked that?
Yes. And that's a part of like the reading the room thing, you know, when you ask and it's a very like guarded and you can just feel it, you can see it.
Cut it with a knife.
Yeah. None really come to mind right now, but you know, there was a superstar recently, I probably shouldn't say the name, but I brought up their kids because their kids had just been in the news and about something really cool that they had done.
Okay.
And so I was like, you know, just kind of wanting to get how did you feel about that? Like now they're going into the spotlight and stuff. And it was a one-word answer. And I was like, oh, we're not going there.
Yep.
Okay. Got it. Let's move on. So, yeah. But I think like, you know, there is an art to being able to navigate things like that. And hopefully people won't really notice, you know, but you can cut the tension with a knife for a split second there.
Feel it.
Yeah.
Well, then speaking of that, what would you say is like the number one unwritten rule of interviewing A-list artists?
Well, I think it is reading the room. And honestly, I think that is a skill that I've learned doesn't come naturally to everyone. You know, I think because it kind of came naturally to me or I learned it easily, like I just assumed that everybody could do that. But it's not. It's not something that a lot of people pick up on. So I think it's something that can be taught, but you have to be open to really understanding what that means, like, and reading body language. So that's like the number one thing that I think is like the most important thing in interviewing is being able to read your subject.
Will you ever say there's a time though when, and this is all good, this is about reading the room as well, but there's a time to push a little harder even when you feel they might be pushing back on you?
Oh yeah, definitely.
Like to keep going?
Yeah. I mean, like when somebody gives you a one-word answer and you can feel it that way, then no, it's probably like, let's respect each other because we're both humans and I can tell you're uncomfy. There are other times that when you know that they do allude to a lot of things, you know, like especially today's artists, like they allude all the time. So you know that they're cheeky about it.
It's part of the brand sometimes.
Exactly. And so you can be cheeky back. And I think like that's if they're not completely shut off like that one word answer, then you can kind of see the opening and you know that you can play with it. Not so much like I'm not going to sit here and hard journalism you know, I'm going to like have fun with it and joke about it and find a different way to get to that point that I'm trying to get to.
The one that comes to mind, and I know you interviewed her, is because she's like the biggest name right now, but when you talked about the Riley Green and Ella Langley stuff, it's like it has been, whether it's true or not, what it does not matter. It's been a part of the cheekiness of the brand.
It's the narrative, yeah.
And it's like, and they know it's there,
exactly.
So don't act like it's not there because we're going to keep pushing on it.
That's a great example, I think, of like how I handle those things because then, we'll just have fun with it. We'll allude to it just like how you allude to it and we'll get there.
Well, and even with Megan too.
Yes.
Because like I still find, well, at least with Ella, I between you and me, I think that the Choose in Texas art was very much supposed to be
the Megan and
Riley in the dang convertible. I'm like, come on, you guys. Like, but such smart marketing.
Of course.
But it opens up for people like you to be like, we're gonna talk about it.
Exactly.
Okay, now shifting to red carpets, because that's a whole different animal.
Tell me about it.
So prepping for that versus a 30-minute, 45-minute segment that you're having someone sit down with, because you have 3 to 4 questions.
Yeah, if you're lucky. You know, it's just it's so fast paced. I mean, every time I do a red carpet, it feels like a snap. Like and then it was all a blur, just crazy nonstop craziness. But like prepping for that, I feel, and I know a lot of people would feel differently, but like I feel like you have to live it in order to be able to do a red carpet. You have to be that person that's constantly looking every day, all throughout the year, at everything that's going on. You have to be in it. You have to just know, because if you aren't in it, then you're not going to be able to cram for something like that.
Sure.
Like you just, it has to be in your blood. It has to be in your lexicon.
Quick on your feet too.
Yes, very quick on your feet, because you never know. And a lot of times they're drunk because they've taken a couple shots before, because the anxiety of a carpet is, so high and intense that like, they try to do whatever they can to calm down before. So like you really never ever know what you're going to do. When I do the more high profile ones, like let's say the Grammys, or I did like the official one for the ACMs for several years when it was on Amazon. Then you get like a whole team with you. And
fun,
which is really fun because you'll have producers who will like give you cards. I almost never use the cards, but
Sure.
like, you know, you'll have it there just in case. And you do rehearsals like the day before.
Oh, you rehearse?
Yeah, you rehearse. So you do it with stand-ins. So you go and do a full show where you got your in-ear and because they yell at you the entire time. I mean, not yell, but
yeah.
they're yelling like the stage direction. They're yelling like who's coming up, who we're waiting for, who you're supposed to toss it to, you know, like all these different things. So they want you to be used to that with whatever team you're working with. And so you're doing that, and then they'll switch up, for instance, like just they want to rehearse everything that can go right and everything that can go wrong. So they will like switch you up last minute when you've already prepared to talk to John Party. Then they'll be like, oh, whoops, it's Beyonce. And then like, you know, change it all up. And then the stand-in comes in and you'll ask them questions and they'll just make up answers and you just rehearse. So it's like the funniest thing. And that was one of like the biggest shocks to me when it came to like high profile red carpet things, that's how you prepare for it. But you have to because it's all live TV and, you know, throwing it to everywhere. Unedited. And there's no second chances. There's no, you know, do-overs. Like you rehearse until everybody feels like, okay, let's do it.
Okay. What's the craziest thing that's happened behind the scenes at a red carpet for you?
Well, I've had a dress rip.
Okay,
and
wardrobe malfunctions are rough.
Well, it happens a lot. I think it was Thomas Rhett who stepped on it and ripped it. It was somebody like Thomas Rhett. I don't know I can't remember if it was him, but I think it was. And you know, we had a team that was able to like come in and fix it because it was like down the back. Yeah, and so that was nerve-wracking, even though you don't usually turn around on the red carpet. But
still,
there's a lot of people behind you.
Yeah,
a lot of fans and everything behind you. That's probably the one that stands out the most. But I mean, a lot. The switch-ups really do happen like crazy, and that's why they rehearse them so much. Like you'll think somebody's coming, and it will last minute. Somebody will cut in the line or like not do the pictures of the red carpet, so then they're there all of a sudden, and they brought a date that, oh my gosh, we were not prepared for that. And now, you know, like it's just again, everything is unexpected.
Totally, like you said, it's so fast paced too. And say like your team gives you the card for the next person that you're prepping for, and you're like, okay, at least I'm going to know what my first question is going to be. And then they go, wait, never mind. And you're like, and that person's already approaching you. So you're like, uh-oh.
Well, and there's been times too that like they'll bring somebody up that I haven't known who they are, because like in Vegas there was one time that they brought up somebody that was invited that did a magic show, I think, on the Strip.
Okay.
And so they brought him up to us, and I had no idea who he was, and they didn't have time to tell me. It was like that was his magic trick to just show up out of nowhere, because I didn't even see this man before. And so I had to interview him not knowing his name or anything about him. And I picked up on the way he was talking on how he like performs in Vegas. So then I was able to then get it to a show and then understand, and it all clicked, and then I finished out the interview. But like that stuff happens too.
Yeah. And listen, if you don't handle pressure very well, like being under pressure, doubt that job would be for you.
Not the world for you.
No, like full blown breaking out into a rash. Like I don't know what to do with myself.
Exactly. I mean, I'm sure that has had to have happened before, like somebody breaking out into a rash or something.
I can't do this.
Yeah.
Who would you say on the red carpet is the most unexpected personality?
Well, in respect to like you don't know what they're going to say, or that they have more personality than you're expecting?
Let's do both, because let's do both.
Blake Shelton is one of the most like intimidating people to interview on the red carpet.
I've heard that.
Yes. Like I love him, adore him. Like, you know, I love interviewing him because he is so funny, but he's quick on another level that it's hard. He can be hard to keep up with.
Okay.
And you've got to have that energy, you know, on the red carpet and be able to keep up with him. And I'd like to say I do. I think I have, but I'm definitely on guard. Like I'm ready. I'm like, okay, we going. Let's do it. So he's the one that when he comes up, I'm like, all right, here we go. But most unexpected, well, I would say this is another where I probably shouldn't say names, but like the shy people are.
Oh, sure. Yeah.
Like that makes it so tough, because you can tell that they are very introverted, even though their personalities are extroverted. There it is again. They're, like we talked about earlier. But when you can tell that they're actually not having a good time, like they really want to be done with it, like that's always surprising and tough, because you would think that even
you're on the red carpet, it'd be a little different. Like I hear that story a lot from like radio programmers when artists come into radio to talk, that you get that vibe a lot more. But you would think of red carpet, like you know what you're there for.
Yeah, but all that to say too, there, especially in these past several years, there's been a lot more green people that have made it to this stage, but before they were maybe ready, because the virality of everything, like,
very good point.
Yeah. So I think I see it a little bit more often, as of late.
Yeah. Okay. Now, going back to it could be red carpet. It could be what you do on your show. What's a question that who's the guest, and what's the question that you wish you had asked? And because I'm sure there's a time where you're dang it, that was my moment to ask it. And luckily for you, you get to interview people multiple times, but sometimes it's relevant to the time or whatever. Is there a question you walked away and you're like, I should have asked that?
Yeah, I think it happens every interview, honestly.
Really? Okay.
Because all of the interviews are timed, obviously, because, you only have so much time in a day, and all these people are on the road and busy and everything. So there's been so many times. I mean, I just recently had Ashley McBride, and I could talk to her for a week straight. She's so fascinating, and her stories are so layered and thoughtful, and every interview she does is just so thoughtful. Like, she makes every answer count. And I can't think of a specific question I didn't ask her, but I know there was 10 more things that I really wanted to dive into, especially with her album. So I think that it does happen a lot, because I truly am fascinated by these humans and by their artistry, and I don't think I'll ever be able to get everything out of anybody that I could.
Well, has there ever been a question where you were too nervous to ask?
No, not really.
And that's good.
Yeah, I think I'm sure back in the day, yes. But I don't think, I mean, there's times, of course, that I would want to ask about something a little bit more deep or more, or the things that I've been told I can't bring up, and really
that's the red button, right?
Exactly. But I think that here's the thing, I would be scared to ask in certain ways, but I'll never stop at that question. I'll find a different way to ask it in order to not be too scared to ask it.
Great point. Yeah. Sometimes it's the how you word the question versus there is an ethical and a moral way to handle certain things.
Exactly. And the art of question asking too is an art in itself, I truly believe, because the same question two different ways will get completely different answers.
Okay, so when we are talking about artists today, since you've been able to see it from 2013 to now, would you say that artists are more under pressure today in this industry now or then?
I think then.
Really?
Honestly.
Okay, wait. Now I want to know why, because I would have said today. So
I think then, because there wasn't as much access to them. And so I think that back then, it was a little bit more guarded, and there wasn't as much, how I remember it, there wasn't as much personal life being shared as now. And so there was just more opportunity to keep private things private. Now, you have to put yourself out there so much and so constantly that, I mean, you'll run out of things if you don't share your life. And so I feel like there's so much content out there that you always want to break through. So people are just, I don't know, I feel like they're just doing a little bit more. And so it just makes them a little bit more open.
Because of how much is out there, though, would you say that it's, in a different way, is it harming the aspect of the superstar in the sense of, okay, so let me word this correctly. I kind of feel like we are creating a situation where the turnover in artists is so fast because there's so much out there. They are putting out so much. The content is almost overwhelming that I almost think it's dulled down the superstar. So, for instance, like I always make the case, and I know that she's still here today, but I make the case that like Carrie Underwood never be on her phone like constantly
Yes.
doing all these things. And there is
Exactly,
something
yeah.
about her that's still a little bit out of reach, which is nice that people want to know about because it's that Dolly, great example too. And now I kind of feel like the stars of today I am nervous that we'll never reach that level of superstardom again because of so much that's out there.
I think it's all, like you've said a couple times during this, like it's all in the timing, because like Carrie Underwood, I don't think in a different time would have been able to have that kind of elusiveness that she gets to have that makes her such a superstar. Like she wouldn't have been able to have not shared more and still been relevant. It's just like kind of how I see it. So like now, because everybody is competing, I think it is harder, but there's so many people and so many niches that, like, for example, Hudson Westbrook, who is doing amazing right now and already has a #1 and can sell out huge venues, is somebody that I didn't like get on board in time with him, like to be an early fan, right? Like, but yet there was this whole niche that loves and adores him. And it's wild to me that like that can exist while somebody who actually works in country music could have missed the boat because there's 20 other acts over here doing the same thing at the same time. So like, I just find that so interesting that there's so much happening now that there are these little niches, but like you can't let not everybody can be a superstar because there's it's just, there's so much to consume. And now it's, I guess, more in the eye of the beholder because he is a superstar. But like a lot of people over here have no idea who he is, not because he's not doing the work, but because they're focused on a different niche and a different side of things.
And I will say, I think it's like the options are just so far, there's so much more.
It's hard to keep up with.
Yes.
Because
I've always compared it to the Cheesecake Factory menu. I've said it on this show before.
That's absolutely perfect. It really is.
It's like overwhelming. And I will say, when it comes to like the allure of knowing enough but not a ton, where I feel like it is creating superstardom too, that I can think of off the top of my head that do a really good job at it. Like him or don't like him, Morgan Wallen is just enough online to like where his like shows are out there, but like he's not on his phone all day like talking to his phone. I think Lainey Wilson as a female isn't all over her stuff. Like it's like it feels still just enough behind the curtain where it's like, but she's still so likable and lovable.
Yeah.
So I think that's the one thing that I've always like struggled with artists today is I almost feel like it was like I almost want them to not be as
accessible.
Yeah, because there is something about it, at least from what I remember, like the nostalgia of a little girl of like finding someone. Like, for instance, like this has nothing to do with country music, but I'm a big Michael Jackson fan. And I was like, that was like something like stardom of it all.
Yes.
And I'm like, there is not that alluring feeling right now, I feel like, with somebody where you like that Dolly.
Yeah.
Where I feel like everybody is so accessible.
Where they're on like this different pedestal that you can't even explain. And I don't know, maybe our definition of superstardom is going to be changing throughout, these next several years. And I feel like maybe it's actively doing that. And that's okay. I mean, we like think about how differently we consume music these days compared to even when I got here. Like streaming is everything, and back then it was still albums roll, and So it's interesting to watch all of these changes and to really just try and everybody's just trying to keep up and figure out what's next and
that's exactly
create the new definitions and create new definitions of success too, because that's evolving always as well.
Now, looking back, I mean, you've interviewed obviously so many people. Which interview, when you look back at it, still gives you chills?
There's a few that do. I know I had just brought up Ashley McBryde, but like I actually haven't aired that one yet, and that one is probably one of my favorite interviews that I've ever done. This most recent one, and I'm so excited for it to come out. Her and it felt like Oprah moment because we were like crying with each other. It was one of those things like deep. And so as of right now, that one really stands out. But there's a lot that do. The Blake Shelton, his post-divorce from Miranda Lambert, that one really stands out to me because I did not expect him to want to talk about it, open up, anything, and he did. And he starts everything with a joke, and we went in there because I'm like, you're looking great. He's like, yeah, it's a divorce diet, and we just went from there and then like talked about everything. And And so that was a really big standout moment. And my first Kelsey Ballerini interview honestly really stands out to me. Because that, like, I clicked with her that day, and she was the first like younger artist that I really got a chance to interview, like when I felt like girl to girl, because that was also the years where there weren't really many women, and so it was like exciting for me and exciting time for her, and I really cherish that interview a lot because it felt like babies to baby, and now like so much has changed since then.
Is there something specific that someone has ever said to you that has lingered with you long after the interview ended?
I think there was something that was said to me about realizing that talent isn't everything, that being a good person is what is most important. I wish I could remember who said this, but the fact that you can be the most talented person in the world, and there's a million talented people on Broadway that are doing the same thing as that person was doing at the time, but like the being a good person and having the right people in your corner and lifting them up as well. It's a two-sided thing when you have a support system, and just being a good person will always outweigh talent, and that's always stuck with me.
Yeah, very much. Who is I don't even know who you haven't talked to, but who is your dream sit-down interview? It doesn't have to be even country music. Somebody you would want to sit down and have a conversation with.
I'd love to sit down with Miley Cyrus.
Oh, yeah.
And I feel like it's always so close. And like Tish followed me a couple months ago, and I'm like, I feel like I'm closer than ever.
Hey, that's 1 degree.
Right, exactly. And I'm like, she does country artists all the time. And like, I know Miley's a huge country fan, and now she's got the stuff with Lainey, and that Lainey-Miley full circle moment was everything. But I'm like, and we keep getting like little things of, maybe she's going country. And I'm like, I would love to interview her.
I could see her doing kind of like the Lady Gaga quick thing.
Right? And like doing a little era of just.
Yeah.
Yeah. But I just think that that's a superstar to me. I think she's an absolute superstar. And
I met her at Frothy Monkey once on 12 South. Yeah.
How was she?
Wonderful. She complimented me, and I was starstruck. I said, "Oh my gosh!" And she was when she was still with Liam. And I remember being like, "Oh my god."
I would freak.
Really exciting.
That is. I just admire her. She's younger than me, but not by much. We're pretty much the same age. But I really admire what she's done and how she advocates and her artistry, and just that longevity is. And now she's gonna be the youngest person with a star on the Hollywood.
Oh yeah, I saw that.
Or the first person from this generation, something like that. There was some headline around that, but yeah, I think she's just fascinating, and I would love to be able to get her story.
She's great. She's really good because she's rebranded herself so many times,
and that within itself is so impressive.
Because I think it was all very strategic.
And when you come from Disney, like you can just get pigeonholed, and to get out of that, and I would her and Hilary Duff. I would love both of them.
Don't even get me started.
I'm going to see her when she comes to
too.
Nashville.
Me
You
too.
are?
Yeah, me
and I'm
too.
so excited, but I'm like, oh my gosh, I'm going to be so pregnant then and like dying in the July heat, but it's worth it. It is worth it that's what dreams are made of.
Okay. So I know you say like you're never nervous to ask a question, and there's probably not a lot of times now because you've done this for so long, but who, if you can remember, is the first artist that made you nervous?
Reba.
Okay. Why?
I think just because Reba is one of the artists that I loved before I knew I loved country music.
Okay.
So, and I don't think I even realized like her or Shania Twain were country just with how I consumed them. Like I loved them, and I loved Reba the show, and I've loved Reba for so long. So yeah, she got me nervous. She got me excited, and she was everything that I was hoping that she would be. And I don't remember the first time I interviewed her at all.
You blacked out?
Oh yeah, because she's just the coolest human.
Yeah.
She's and makes everybody feel comfortable. She was also the first person that I ever thought like actually cared enough to, and this speaks to her career longevity, because she will go the extra mile just for a little something to make you feel like a human rather than just like, oh, I've never met you and we're gonna interview. But the second time she came around, and it was not long after the first time, she walked in and she was like, oh, you got a haircut. And I was like, what? And I was like, I'm sure somebody probably told her that like I changed my hair before.
No, you know what? No, maybe not.
But probably not
so.
because Reba's Reba, and she like remembers these things, and that's why she has the career that she does, because she treats everybody like a human, and you know, and I just thought that was the coolest thing that Reba took notice of that.
Okay, so not Reba, because you would have said her, but let's say, who's the most humble superstar you've sat down with?
Ooh, there's so many. There's a lot of
I know a lot of them are, but which one that
gosh, I feel like I've said Blake's name 3 times already, but he is so humble and so lovely, and especially for being such a superstar. Like he really just, when you're talking to him, it really feels like you're like on the back porch, you know, and he doesn't have any ego or anything. And even in his biggest times when he's on national television, on The Voice and everything, like just, you would never, I don't think he knows he's Blake Shelton, you know, like it's that kind of thing.
And obviously without naming names, because we're not here to do that for this, but have you had a massive diva moment?
Oh yeah. There's been a handful, and also because I have interviewed a lot of people outside of country. I would say that's happened mostly with people outside of country, but there's been some country people that have their diva moments.
Did that surprise you?
Yes. Okay. Yeah, very much so. One maybe not, but a couple others it really did surprise me, and I don't know if it's just because of the time in their life that they were at in their life, and yeah, but there's been some diva moments. Yep. There's been a time that an artist has gone out into their car because they were throwing a fit about a question that they got asked before they came to mine, and they wouldn't come in and do the interview. Like it, there's been some diva moments.
Oh yeah, that's
like crybaby, like kind of situation. Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. What is one artist that deserves more credit in this industry?
Maggie Rose.
Okay, that was just said to me. Wait, who did I interview? Okay, this was just said to me. And
really?
I forget the guest.
Well, good, because
I literally forget the guest that I just had that just said Maggie Rose, and they just said Maggie Rose.
I mean, she is so incredible. I feel like that's a timing thing. I feel like Nashville wasn't ready for her when,
and it's
like,
been
with
a while, though. That's a thing.
But and I mean, she will be able to gig forever. I mean, she'll be able to perform. She has a fan base, and the people that love her and appreciate her artistry. But I just feel like she had superstardom like all over her.
Big voice too.
Huge. And you would not expect it to come out of her. And I feel like I grew a lot with her music because like she was really a voice for like women of my generation, and continues to be. But like, I mean, in that moment, but just radio wasn't ready. Nashville wasn't. I don't know what happened, but I think she superstar.
Yeah. Okay. So, and now finish this sentence. Country music right now is
the biggest thing around.
Okay.
And we kind of touched on that, but like, I really feel like it's bigger than ever. I mean, I think it's, like I said, it just feels like everybody wants to be a part of it, and it's the place to be. Stagecoach now? Are you kidding me?
Oh, yeah.
Like
bigger than Coachella now,
bigger than Coachella now, basically.
It feels like it.
And I mean, that's what everybody wants to go to. It seems like.
Have you noticed? So off topic, but have you noticed that the clothing, the fashion, have like swapped places for them though?
I could see that, yeah.
Like what people wear to Coachella now looks like what you would wear to Stagecoach.
In like 2012, 2013.
Yeah,
and
now Stagecoach, they try to dress more like trendy, not as typical, not right on the money, like cowgirl boots, the whole thing. Like it feels very like flipped. Like I go on revolve.com and like everything is like Western.
Yes.
And I go, did I miss something?
Yeah. I mean, it's the biggest thing right now, I feel like.
It absolutely is the biggest thing right now. Okay, so now we're coming to an end, and I want to ask you because, I think a lot of people would love to do like what you do. What is the number one thing in advice that you would give somebody who wants to come in the space of country music media?
Meet everybody that you can.
And how would you suggest someone does that?
Well, I mean, I to be completely honest, I'm not sure if it still works the same way as it did when I was doing it, but it's going to, dog houses, the tin roofs,
Sure.
the going to all of the events whenever you can get your foot in the door at a number one party, or, you know, doing everything, but just meeting everybody and genuinely caring about them. Like, not meeting them to be like, what can you do for me? But like, you never know where a connection is going to lead. And that can even be just to, there's been people that I've met in those situations that are now like my best friends in life. Totally. And I might have thought, I don't know what I thought when I first met them, but I'm like, making those connections is everything. Building your community is everything. And to always remember that it goes both ways. Like, your support system, yes, you need those people that are going to support you and in your corner, but you better be in their corner and want to be genuinely. That's when you know that you've found your right people. When you both genuinely are rooting for each other, lifting each other up, and celebrating your wins.
What a thing that should be so easy.
Right. And yet you don't see, it's kind of rare to see like those genuine.
Well, sometimes you're not sure if it's true or not, too.
Exactly. Yeah.
Well, it's funny you said something. One of my best friends in town, I've been here for almost 10 years now, and one of my best friends was one of my first interviews. She interviewed me on pop culture.
Oh, yeah.
And now we're best friends. And I'm like,
and that's, and that's how it should happen, you know, like, because that means that in those moments, you guys were genuinely like looking for human connection. And that's how you find it. And it's all about that human connection. It's not about the stepping on each other and just trying to use each other. Then it's not as sweet in the end.
Okay, now what would you tell your younger self before your career began?
Say yes to experiences, because you never know where it's going to lead you. So just do the things that scare you, and if it doesn't work out, well, that's just a blip in your life, and you're on to the next thing. So try everything and see what sticks.
All right, and lastly, what excites you the most about what's coming out in country music and what you have going on?
In country music, the writing right now, I think, is so good. Like, I think there is a lot of really great, like, back to, like, let's tell a story kind of situation. And I'm loving that and so here for it and really excited about that direction. And the fact that there is space for, like, all the different kinds of country sounds. Like, you don't have to love traditional country. There's popish country for you, but it's still country, and still there's something for everyone, and that is so exciting and why it's the most popular it's ever been. In my world, I'm really excited because we're actually about to make our radio show, into a podcast.
Amazing.
So now, because I'm always getting hounded from the clips that I post on social media from interviews, where can I hear this? And I'm like, well, we don't have backstage country in my state or my city. Okay, we're going to give it all to you, and it's going to be full and uncut. So,
okay, that's great, because what I was going to ask you earlier, and I didn't ask it to you, was what is one interview, and I know this is now going off topic because we're at the very end, but what's one interview you wish you released that was completely unedited?
Yeah, and they're all of them, really, truly. Okay. Like, because the restraints of radio are great because it's like, you get all these little conversations, but you can't sit and like have it all at once. There's no way on radio I'm going to do a 10-minute break.
Yeah.
We are going to do a 10-minute conversation and longer on the podcast. So all of them. And I think we're probably going to, some of our really in high demand ones, I think we're going to run it back and be able to show you like the whole Ella Langley interview and the whole Megan Maroney interview that we've already done that people didn't get to hear. So
I think people will like that.
Yeah, so I'm really, really excited for that, and that should be starting. I don't know when this is airing, but that will be starting at the end of May.
Well, congratulations. That's amazing. And also, I know I said it off camera, but congratulations on soon to be a mom.
Oh, thank you so much. First time baby, or mom. First baby, first mom.
You're going to have to bring her on the red carpet.
I really want to. Well, and I'm excited because the ACM Awards are happening this weekend, and we're going to walk the carpet so I can get like
she's already going to be on it.
Yeah, we'll get her first red carpet picture. I'm going to put that in her nursery and be like, look, you were on the red carpet.
That is really cool. Well, thank you so much, Elaina, for being on What's Mine Is Yours.
Thank you for having me. I'm so excited that we finally got to do this.
I know.
And we finally got to meet. I feel like I know you already, but like, this is awesome.
But yeah, thank you so much. And I'm so excited to now be on the lookout for your show. It's going to be great.
Yes, it'll be fun.
Well, thank you so much.
Thank you.